My daughter called me at 3 o'clock in the morning, her voice breaking through a wall of nightclub noise. My card declined at the door. They will not let us leave. Mom, please. I need you to send $3,000 right now. For a moment I lay there staring into the dark, the phone pressed hard against my ear, as if that could steady the trembling in her voice. Then the familiar ache settled in the one that came every time Rowan needed saving. My name is Marielle Garrison. I am 67 years old. I pushed myself upright, bones stiff from sleep, but it was the panic in her tone that jolted me fully awake. Rowan, I said, trying to steady my voice. Where is Ethan? I expected to hear Ethan's voice in the background, but there was nothing. The pause stretched too long, and a cold worry gripped me. He is not answering. She finally said, Mom, please. They have our IDs. They are calling the police. I need the money now. I could hear her breathing fast, uneven the way she used to breathe as a child when she knew she had done something wrong and did not know how to undo it. But this was no scraped knee or broken vase. This was a grown woman, my only child, drowning in a life she kept insisting she could manage. Rowan, I said quietly, call your husband. Silence, except for the thudding bass behind her. Then a shocked inhale, like she could not believe she had heard me right. Mom, you cannot do this right now. I closed my eyes. I wished I could soften just once more. I wished I could pretend that helping her tonight would not lead to another crisis tomorrow, but wishing had done nothing to stop the slow unraveling of the last few years. I love you, I whispered, but I am not sending the money. Before she could answer, I ended the call. I turned off the phone completely and placed it face down beside me. The room felt impossibly still, but inside my chest, everything ached. I did not know then that the next call hours later would come from the Miami Beach Police Department, and that it would shatter whatever illusions I still held about how far my daughter had fallen. I barely slept after the call. By morning, every part of me felt bruised from holding myself still through the night. When Rowan finally texted nothing but a curt "call me," I turned the phone over and let it vibrate against the table. I needed a moment before stepping back into whatever storm she had created. There was a time she would have come to my kitchen, sat at the counter, and told me everything. Back then she painted for hours, let her hair grow wild, laughed at her own terrible jokes. She never needed to pretend. Those years feel like a different lifetime. The shift came slowly, subtle enough that I tried not to see it. But the first real crack showed a few months after she met Ethan. We were having lunch at a cafe near my house. Rowan had just ordered a salad she didn't touch when I reached for the bill. Mom, don't, she snapped, grabbing the leather folder. People are watching. I blinked. Watching what? She softened immediately. Sorry, I'm just tired. But that tone, sharp, embarrassed, defensive, stayed with me long after the plates were cleared. Later, when I asked how she and Ethan were managing their expenses, "We're fine, Mom. Stop worrying," she said, voice clipped. If I pressed even gently, her demeanor stiffened, like revealing the truth might make her crumble. The canceled plans came next. Something came up. I forgot. Work is crazy, each excuse thinner than the one before it. I could hear voices in the background, sometimes high, polished laughter that didn't sound like her friends. When I asked who she was with, she leaned back and muttered, "Just some friends." I tried to remind her of who she used to be, the parts of her life untouched by performance or pressure. But she'd smile tightly and say, "Mom, I've grown up. Let it go." That was when I realized I didn't recognize the world she was trying so hard to belong to, or the daughter disappearing inside it, and the distance between us only got quieter, not smaller. I met Ethan for the first time at a small family dinner, the kind Rowan once teased me for over-planning. He walked in confident, perfectly pressed shirt, expensive watch. He kept adjusting like it needed to be seen. He shook my hand and said, "Rowan tells me you're the calm one in the family. We could use that." It sounded like a compliment. It wasn't. Weeks later. When I visited their apartment, Rowan hovered behind him while he gave me a tour of furniture he called investment pieces. She smiled too hard, as if asking me to approve of a life that didn't quite fit her. At dinner that night, he said lightly, "Everyone in my circle looks sharp. It's just how things are." Rowan stiffened. I asked, "Sharp how?" He shrugged. "Designer polished. Rowan's getting there." She lowered her eyes like the words landed somewhere tender. I felt something shift between them, an invisible rope pulling her toward expectations she didn't choose. One evening, I overheard him say, "Don't bring that bag. Everyone notices." Rowan muttered, "I can't afford a new one." He sighed, annoyed. "Figure it out. It matters." That was the moment I understood the pressure she lived under. Image wasn't a preference in Ethan's world, it was currency, and Rowan, desperate to keep up, was spending far more than she had to give. Still, when her world started cracking at 3 a.m., she didn't call him, she called me. It started with small things, photos on Rowan's Instagram that didn't match the life she told me she was living. One night, she posted a picture at a rooftop bar downtown, a glass of champagne raised high. The caption said, "Work hard, play harder," but the job she had didn't pay enough to play that hard. I called the next morning. "You were out late." She laughed too quickly. "Just a girls' night. Nothing crazy. It looked expensive." "Mom, please don't start. It's just one picture." But it wasn't just one. Soon she posted photos with designer shopping bags, then dinners where every plate looked like it cost more than her weekly groceries. When I asked how she was affording it, she said, "Mom, you don't understand how things work now." I replied softly, "Explain it to me then." She went quiet. "I'm fine. Can we not analyze everything I tried again a week later when she showed up wearing a coat I knew was worth more than her monthly rent?" "Rowan, that coat." She cut me off. "It was a gift from who?" She hesitated. "Just someone. Don't make a thing out of it." Her smile never reached her eyes anymore, and when her friends visited, I noticed how she watched them grading herself against their clothes, their nails, their confidence. Once after they left, she snapped at me for asking if she wanted tea. "I'm not a child." "Mom, I never said you were." I answered, "Well, you look at me like I'm failing." Her voice cracked and she turned away before I could respond. That night, she deleted several old photos, the ones where she was painting, smiling without posing, wearing clothes she actually owned. The Rowan I knew faded away, replaced online by carefully curated images of someone else. And the more perfect she tried to look online, the farther she drifted from me in real life. Rowan told me about the trip as if it were already settled. She came by one afternoon, dropped her bag on my table, and said, "Mom, the girls and I are going to Miami next month. It's a one-time thing. I deserve it." I set down my mug. "How much is it going to cost?" She waved her hand. "Not that much. Maybe $3,000 if we do the yacht rental." My chest tightened. "Rowan, you can't afford that." She straightened. "Everyone else is going. I can't be the only one who stays home. It's embarrassing." "I'm not paying for it," I said quietly. Her jaw tightened. "I didn't say you had to. I was hoping you'd support me this once. I'm working hard to keep up." "You work?" "Yes, but you're not living within what you earn." She pushed back her chair. "You never understand." Ethan's parents pitched in. "Okay, so stop worrying." Something in her tone was off too sharp, too rehearsed. But before I could ask, she added, "We already booked the flights." When the trip began, her posts flooded in first-class seats, matching outfits with her friends, champagne in the airport lounge. I sent a short text. "Be careful, don't overspend." She didn't answer. By the second day, her posts showed her at a luxury resort, lounging in a private cabana, champagne in hand. Someone filmed her stepping off a rented yacht. In another clip, she held shopping bags from stores she once only walked past. I called that night. "Rowan, this isn't what you told me." She sighed loudly. "Mom, stop. Everything's covered. Just let me have fun." But her voice trembled at the edges, like she was balancing on something fragile. 3 days later at 2 o'clock in the morning, another picture appeared. Bottle service at a rooftop club, lights flashing across her face. The smile she wore wasn't real. Somewhere inside me, A cold certainty settled. She wasn't celebrating. She was outrunning something that was catching up. The morning after her 3 a.m. call, I sat at my kitchen table with the phone face down beside me. Every few minutes it buzzed texts, missed calls, then silence, then another round. I didn't open a single one. Instead, I replayed her voice from the night before, shaking, frantic, demanding, not asking, not explaining, just expecting. For years, I'd stepped in the second she stumbled. I paid her deposits when she switched apartments too quickly. I covered overdraft fees she refused to talk about. I even sold a piece of jewelry once because she said she needed to fix a mistake. She promised every time she'd pay me back. She never did. I didn't blame her entirely. I taught her I'd always catch her. Around noon, the phone rang again. This time, I answered. "Mom," she said, breathless, "you ignored me all night. I heard your messages," I replied. I didn't know what else to do. "You could have helped," she snapped. "You always help." "That's the problem," I said quietly. She went silent. "You can't keep calling me to bail you out whenever the bills arrive." I continued. "You can't build a life you can't afford and expect me to patch the holes. You don't understand what it's like," she muttered. "Everyone around me, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about you." Her breathing hitched. "So, you're abandoning me?" "No," I said. "I'm stepping back. I should have done it years ago." There was a long pause. And then she whispered, "I just wanted to feel like I belong." "I know," I said. My voice cracked despite my efforts. "But chasing that feeling is hurting you and me." She didn't reply. She hung up without a goodbye. I stayed at the table for a long time, listening to the quiet. For the first time in years, I wasn't bracing myself to clean up another mess. I just didn't know yet how quickly the next one was coming. The call came late morning. I had just managed to steady my breath after hours of replaying every word Rowan and I exchanged when the phone rang with an unfamiliar Florida number. I almost let it go to voicemail. Something told me not to. "Ms. Garrison," a man asked, "this is Sergeant Alvarez with the Miami Beach Police Department." My stomach dropped. "What happened?" "We have your daughter, Rowan Garrison, in custody." His tone was formal but not unkind. "She was detained last night after she and several others attempted to leave a nightclub without paying an $8,000 bill. When officers intervened, she became disorderly." I closed my eyes. "Is she hurt?" "No, ma'am. She's been held overnight and is cooperative this morning. She specifically asked that we call you." I gripped the edge of the table. "What does she need?" "Her bail is $1,000, he said. "Once posted, she can be released. The nightclub is also pursuing restitution for the outstanding bill." In the background, I heard a faint, shaking voice. "Mom, please answer." The sergeant paused. "She's very distressed." I swallowed hard. Everything inside me wanted to run to her, fix the situation, pull her out of the consequences, rushing toward her faster than she could manage. But another part of me, the part that replayed her 3 a.m. calls, knew stepping in again would only delay her learning responsibility. "I'm not posting bail," I said quietly. There was a beat of silence. "Ma'am, she asked for you first." "I know." My voice trembled despite my effort, but she has a husband. And in-laws. She needs to call them. She insisted you would help. "I've helped too many times," I whispered. "This has to change." The sergeant exhaled. "I understand. I'll inform her." Before he hung up, I heard Rowan again, closer this time, frantic. "Mom, don't do this to me. Please." My throat tightened. "I love you," I said, "but you have to call Ethan." She let out a small, broken sound. Then the line went dead. I sat at the table long after, trying to breathe through the ache spreading through my chest. The weight of not saving her felt almost as heavy as all the years I had. Ethan's mother called me that same evening. Her voice was tight, the kind of tightness that comes from holding back shame. "Marielle, we need to talk," she said. "About Rowan," I braced myself. "Is she home?" "She's with us," she replied. "But there's more things you don't know." I heard a rustle. Then Ethan's father came on the line. "Your daughter owes over $70,000 in credit card debt, possibly more. We've been trying to help her get organized, but she keeps opening new accounts." My breath stalled. 70. "Yes," he said, "and that trip to Miami added at least 15,000 more. She told Ethan you'd taken care of some bills before, so we assumed I haven't." I cut in. "Not like this." There was a pause. Then Ethan's mother said quietly, "She's been terrified you'd find out." An hour later, Rowan showed up at my door, eyes swollen, hair tangled from stress. She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. "Mom, I'm so sorry," she whispered. "Please don't shut me out." I handed her a glass of water, and she gripped it with shaking hands. "I never meant for it to get this bad," she said. "I kept thinking I'd fix it. I'd get a better job. I'd make more. I'd catch up. But every time I fell behind, I panicked and spent more to look like I wasn't falling apart." "You were afraid of being judged," I said gently. She sank onto the couch. "Ethan's friends, his family, everyone looks perfect. I didn't want to be the odd one out. I didn't want them to think he married beneath him." "And so you tried to buy belonging," I murmured. Tears spilled down her face. "Mom, please, I'm begging you. Don't give up on me. I know I messed up, but I can fix it. I just need help this one last time." I sat beside her and pulled her into my arms. She sobbed against my shoulder like she hadn't since she was a child. "I'll never give up on you," I said softly, "but I won't rescue you from this. You must face it yourself." Her shoulders shook harder. "I'm scared. I know," I whispered. "But that fear is the beginning of change." She nodded without lifting her head, and for the first time in years, she didn't pretend to be fine. There was no illusion left between us now, only truth, heavy and necessary. Rowan moved into a small rental on the east side, a place she could manage without pretending. When she told me, her voice wavered. "It's not much, Mom, but it's mine and I can actually afford it. That's enough," I said, "more than enough." Over the next weeks, she began counseling, met with a financial advisor, and boxed up the designer clothes she once clung to. One afternoon, she stood in my doorway holding a bag of them. "I'm selling these," she said. "I don't need to look expensive anymore." I nodded. "How does it feel?" She laughed softly, like I'm peeling off someone else's skin. She came by more often without makeup, hair tied back, no performance. One evening, she sat across from me at the table, hands wrapped around a mug she wasn't drinking from. "Mom," she began, "I spent so long trying to be the version of myself Ethan's world expected. I didn't notice I was disappearing." I reached for her hand. "I saw you slipping. I just didn't know how to stop it." "I didn't want you to," she admitted. "If you saw the real mess, you'd be disappointed." "I was never disappointed in you," I said, "only scared of how hard you were pushing yourself." Tears gathered in her eyes, but she didn't turn away this time. "I'm trying, Mom. I really am." "I know," I said, "and trying is where everything begins." For the first time in years, she let the silence between us feel honest instead of distant. Rebuilding wasn't dramatic or quick. It was slow, unsteady, and painfully real. Rowan sat beside me on the bench, rubbing her hands together the way she always did when she was thinking too hard. "I paid off another card," she said quietly. "It's small, but it's something." "It's yours," I replied. "You earned every bit of it." She nodded, eyes a little brighter than before. "Ethan started therapy. He says he doesn't want the life we were pretending to live. I don't know what that means for us yet. You don't have to know today." I said, "One honest step at a time is enough." She exhaled slowly. "Mom, I used to think love meant covering every mistake, fixing everything so no one saw the cracks." I looked at her, really looked, and saw the woman. She was becoming softer, steadier, finally willing to meet her own life without running. "Love is letting someone stand," I said, "not standing for them." She reached for my hand, and this time she held it without fear. "Thank you for not saving me," she whispered. "It's strange, but it's the first time I feel like I can save myself." A quiet settled between us, not heavy anymore, just full. If you felt this chapter, like or comment so I know you're still here with us. Subscribe for the next story, we're just getting started.